Welcome to episode 5 of the Sub 36 project. Let's take a walk. I'm really lucky here in Devon. Even though I only live a couple of miles from Exeter city centre, I've got a valley park just out the side gate. Acres and acres of green space to walk around, run around, or just sit in and enjoy. It's definitely something that's good for the soul and good for the mind, especially when you can't be as active as you want to be. So while there's not a lot of training for me to run you through, I want to use this walk to talk about where I'm at mentally. But let's put a pin in that for a minute, because there's still a few parts of my training that I can do. I always try to include an element of core exercise in my weekly routine, but just recently I've really stepped it up with a routine from this guy. Shout out to Ben is Running for absolutely ruining my ab muscles recently. So let's get another one of those done. Towards the tail end of Ben's routine, he starts to do some bridges, and that dovetails really nicely with my existing leg strengthening routine, which also includes some bridges before working my way down to the lower leg for some strengthening exercises. So with that done, I want to talk more about where my head's at. So yeah, this injury, it's well, in isolation it's not such a big deal. It's just a little soleus strain, although it's tracking up into my knee a bit now. But it's just, I referred to it to someone I was talking to earlier actually, as the cherry on top of the shit going wrong cake. And I guess that's exactly what it is. As I say, in isolation it's not much. Handle it, deal with it. The lack of running would be frustrating, but wouldn't, be the end of the world. But with everything that my wife and I have got going on at the moment, and trying to be as supportive as I can to her through her anxieties, coping with some of my own, it's proving a bit difficult, to be honest. And it's really made me realise that I probably place too much emphasis on running as a mental health first aid kit. I don't really have a huge amount else in my arsenal to deal with what's going on in my own mind. But let's park that for now, because I want to run you through another important part of strength and conditioning that often can still be done even when you're injured. Something I definitely have neglected recently is my foam roller. I'm sorry, buddy. So part of my recommitment to my S&C is definitely using that, because I certainly can't afford a massage after every session. This is going to be especially important for recovery when I get back into my full workout program and my leg sessions involve squats and lunges and that sort of stuff. It's not the case, and it's certainly not the correct way of thinking about it, but I often feel like if there's one big traumatic event or a huge impactful thing that's happened to you, that can sort of explain and justify why you feel low, anxious or depressed. So for example, back in 2014 when I lost my dad, there was something I could point to and say, well, that's why I feel like absolute shit right now. And that sort of made me feel like, of course I feel like that. You have every right to feel like that. It's expected in a scenario like that. But when it's, I think I called it death by 1,000 cuts recently, where there's no one traumatic event to point to, but rather lots of little things gradually stacking on top of one another. I sometimes feel like I'm not actually entitled to feel low or down. Or, you make comparisons and think to yourself, well, there's loads of people who've got it worse than me, right? And so then on top of struggling with things, you're struggling with this fight with yourself, criticizing yourself for feeling that way. And it's just another one of those things stacking on top of the others. So yeah, you put all that together, and having this one big tool to combat that in running just makes it even more important. And you take the ability to do that away, it's harder and harder to cope with those things that might seem trivial or insignificant on their own. So recently I've been trying to focus on taking each problem or each source of anxiety and trying to tackle it individually, do everything I can within my control, but also accepting that a lot of it's out of my control. And in those cases, what I can control is how I react to them. I think it's a Buddhist proverb or philosophy. I should probably have looked this up really before I spoke about it, but it's something about the second arrow. So you get shot by an arrow and that hurts and you've got to deal with it. But the second arrow that really gets you is your reaction to that thing. I'm going to do a terrible job of explaining it, so I'll just leave it alone for now. So yeah, this week I've mostly been trying to focus on doing the things that are within my control to have positive outcomes, and recognising when I'm outside of those moments. When those times come, just accepting it and staying mindful and in the moment and enjoying the little things in life. Cannonball! For those of you that have followed the whole series of these videos, I hope this isn't too much of a deviation from the training vlog. This channel is something I wanted to use for a while to talk about the mental health aspect of running. At the start at least, mostly wanted it to be about the benefits, but actually it's worth exploring the downtimes too, and how we deal with those, I guess. As I said before, this injury might seem quite trivial in the grand scheme of things, but right now with everything else that's going on, it feels pretty big. But it feels like an opportunity to learn, figure out what I need to do in those moments when my normal coping mechanisms aren't available. And that can only be a good thing in the long term, right? In the short term though, it's time to get this injury looked at by a professional. So I've got an appointment with an osteopath. Hopefully they can figure out if there's anything going on that needs fixing and put me on the programme to recovery. So I'm just back from the osteopath, and the good news is there's no major structural problems going on, no twisted pelvis or anything like that causing any kind of imbalance. The soleus and the knee issues aren't directly linked, but they are both caused by just a general sort of tightness and seizing up of the whole leg on both sides really. She got right into that area that's been giving me problems recently in the lower leg, and really tried to relax that as much as possible. But then starting from the top of each leg, worked her way down with a real focus on the gluteus medius. There's so much tension in there, it's just pulling on everything further down the biomechanical chain and just causing lots of little knock-on effects. So yeah, next day or two could be a bit sore as a response to that treatment, but I'm going to treat that with heat pads just to keep everything nice and soft and relaxed, and should be able to get back to some light running fairly soon. So another lovely walk in the Valley Park comes to an end. I'm back here at my side gate. Another week is in the books. Another step closer to the Vitality 10K in September. I'm really excited to hunt down that elusive sub 36. But in the meantime, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Thanks very much.